Have you ever tried to learn something new? You know, a language, an instrument, some new software. And you just feel like you're wading through concrete? You're putting in the hours, you're practicing, but you just feel stuck, clunky, slow? Well, today we're going to dive right into that, because we're talking about that super frustrating lag phase, and more importantly, how to smash right through it by engineering something called the Fluency Threshold.
I want you to just let that sink in for a second, seriously. This one idea, if you really get it, can completely change how you approach learning anything. It's this wild paradox that's at the very heart of mastery. That feeling of hitting a wall, of making absolutely zero progress, guess what? That's not a sign to quit. It's actually the sound of your brain building a brand new super highway in the background. You just can't drive on it yet.
You know what it's like? You're trying to stream a movie in 4K, but that little circle just keeps spinning. It's buffering. Now, you're not seeing the movie, right? But that doesn't mean nothing's happening. Under the hood, data is being downloaded, it's being packaged, and it's getting ready. Your brain does the exact same thing. It's buffering. It's building the high-speed hardware you need for fluency, but it does most of this work behind the scenes before you see any of the results. You think you're failing, but you're actually just buffering. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll unpack that buffering paradox and figure out why we get stuck on what I call the Plateau of Despair. Then we get to the good stuff, the Fluency Threshold protocol. We'll look at the science of upgrading your neural hardware. I'll give you a practical 15-minute daily plan, and we'll end with your new mantra, trust the lag.
Okay, so let's start by putting a name to that awful feeling of frustration. We're calling it the Plateau of Despair. You know the one. It's that phase where your initial excitement has totally worn off and every single action feels clunky and just unnatural. You know what you're supposed to be doing, but your brain and your body just won't sync up. This isn't a you problem. It's a predictable, totally normal biological stage of learning.
The sciencey term for this is cognitive friction. And what's really fascinating is where this is all happening. It's your prefrontal cortex. That's the conscious, deliberate, thinking part of your brain, and it's in total control. It has to micromanage every single tiny detail, kind of like a nervous boss watching your every move. And let me tell you, that process burns an insane amount of energy. And the direct result of burning all that fuel? Executive fatigue. This is that deep mental exhaustion you feel after just 15 or 20 minutes of really trying. It's why you can stare at a spreadsheet for hours, but feel completely fried after trying to learn one new song on the guitar for a half hour. And most of us get this totally wrong. We think it means, I'm just not talented. But the truth is, it has nothing to do with talent. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The real problem is you're trying to run mastery software on beginner hardware. See, on the left, you've got your prefrontal cortex. It's all manual controls, super high energy burn, and it feels, well, clunky. On the right, that's the goal, the basal ganglia. This is the part of your brain for habits, for things that are automatic. It's all about neural efficiency, and it feels effortless. The whole journey of learning is just about moving the skill from the left column over to the right. That lag phase, that's just the installation process. So the problem is basically a hardware update. How do we speed up the installation? Because trying harder clearly isn't the answer. We need a smarter way, and that's where the Fluency Threshold protocol comes in. This isn't about willpower, it's about engineering. We're going to use our brain's own rules to literally trigger that click, that magic moment where the skill suddenly feels like second nature. Now, this protocol has 3 core parts, and they're all designed to work with your biology, not against it. First, the high-frequency pulse. We are ditching long, occasional marathon sessions for short, intense, daily bursts. Second, cognitive offloading. This is where we find the single clunkiest part of the skill and we just drill it over and over. And third, the sleep cycle seal. This is our secret weapon where we strategically use sleep to hardwire the skill by practicing the toughest parts right before bed. The whole point here, the big goal of this entire protocol, is to deliberately move that skill from a state of conscious manual labor into a state of unconscious neural automaticity. We are done passively waiting for the skill to click. From now on, we are actively programming our own biology to force that threshold. You stop trying to be fluent and you start engineering the conditions to become fluent. To really get on board with this, you have to understand the absolutely beautiful mechanics happening inside your skull. This isn't just pop psychology, it's straight up neurobiology. We are literally upgrading our own hardware. So let's take a quick look at the science that makes that click even possible. The first key process is called myelination. So every single time you practice a skill, you fire a specific neural circuit. Your brain sees this and responds by wrapping that circuit in a fatty layer called myelin. The best way to think about it is like insulating an electrical wire. The more you practice, the thicker that insulation gets. And this isn't just for protection. It makes the signal travel way, way faster. You are literally upgrading your brain's internal wiring from old school dial-up to fiber optic. And I'm not talking about a tiny speed boost here. A well-myelinated circuit can fire a signal up to 100 times faster than a circuit without it. 100. This is the biological reality of the click. It doesn't get a little easier each day. It feels clunky, 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 and then boom. Once a critical amount of that myelin is built, the signal speed just explodes. The connection becomes instant, effortless. That's the threshold. And the second biological superpower we have is just as amazing. It's called sleep-dependent consolidation. When you're asleep, your brain is hard at work. It actually replays the neural patterns of things you practice during the day at up to 20 times the original speed. This high-speed playback physically strengthens the connections, basically saving your progress. That's why the sleep cycle seal is so powerful. You're literally telling your sleeping brain, hey, this circuit right here, upgrade this one tonight. And the payoff for all this work is something we can call neural efficiency. I mean, this chart says it all. Before the click, before you've built up enough myelin, performing the skill costs a ton of energy, let's say 90 units. But after that click, once the hardware upgrade is done, doing the exact same thing might only cost 10 units of energy. It's not just faster, it's radically more efficient. That feeling, that is mastery. So look, if you take only one thing away from all the science stuff, let it be this. Your myelin does not care about your mood. It doesn't care about your motivation or if you practice for 3 hours once a week. The cells that create myelin are triggered by one thing and one thing only, the repeated firing of a neural circuit. Frequency is the only language they speak. Sending a signal every single day is infinitely more powerful than sending a huge signal once in a while. All right, we get the problem, we get the science. Now, let's make this super practical. How do you actually do this starting today? This is your blueprint, the 15-minute daily pulse. Okay, here it is, 3 simple steps. First, the daily pulse. You commit to 15 minutes every single day. No exceptions. It's about consistency, not how long you do it. Second, component isolation. In that 15 minutes, find the single hardest, clunkiest part, the part that makes you stumble. Isolate it, and practice just that one thing slowly and perfectly 50 times. We're not trying to be fast, we're trying to build a flawless circuit. And finally, the night before prime. Just before you go to sleep, for 5 minutes, you review that one isolated component. That's the signal dump. That's you telling your brain what to work on tonight. Now, this whole thing requires a huge mindset shift. You have to let go of needing to see results right away. You have to stop judging your practice on whether you got it that day. Your only job is to send the signal as clearly and consistently as you can. Focus on the quality of the reps, the frequency of the pulse. You're building a bridge in the dark. Trust that your job is to just keep laying the bricks. Your biology will take care of the rest. And this brings us right to the core philosophy of this whole approach. Learning is not a straight line. That clunky phase isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's the brain's construction site, and it's always a mess before it becomes something amazing. So your new mantra, your guiding light through all that mess, is to simply trust the lag. Say this to yourself every time you get frustrated. Mastery is a lagging indicator of frequency. Your skill level today is not a reflection of today's practice. It's a reflection of the signals you were sending weeks ago. The work you do today, that consistent daily pulse, is an investment that's only going to pay off down the line. But here's the thing, the payoff is guaranteed if the frequency is there. So this is what it all boils down to. Real productivity isn't about brute force. It's about mastering systems that work with your biology. It all starts with having the patience to sit through that buffering phase until you hit the fluency threshold. So don't fight the clunkiness. Don't curse the loading screen. See it for what it is, a sign that a major upgrade is in progress. Trust the buff, and you will reach the click. And that leaves us with one last really important question. It's time to go from learning about this to actually doing it. So think about that skill you've been struggling with, that thing you want to get good at. What is the one thing that gets your non-negotiable 15-minute pulse starting today? Don't worry about the click. Just send the signal. Your future self is going to thank you for it.